Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friday Noonday Concert here at Fourth Presbyterian Church. My name is Emma Cox. I'm the music department manager. It is such a delight to have you on this beautiful afternoon, both in person and at home. If you'd like to take a moment to silence your cell phones, for those of you who have already done that, you can follow along with me. If you flip to the back of your program, you can see some of the upcoming events that we will be having here for the noonday. Next week, it will be Natalie Mann and Jeff Pankow. This is a soprano and pianist duo who are unbelievably talented. I had to book her a year in advance. So I am very excited for Natalie to come next week and share her program with all of us. After that, we have a regular favorite performer here at the noonday. Mio Nakamura is back, fresh off her performance at Carnegie Hall. So if you would like to join us in 2 weeks, on Friday, November the 21st, Mio will be here. Please note that the week of Thanksgiving, there will not be a Friday Noonday Concert. The building is closed the day after Thanksgiving, so please be sure to mark that in your calendars. Back to today's performance. It is sponsored by the Musicians Club of Women, which is one of the oldest professional musicians guilds and organizations within the Chicagoland area. We just celebrated 150 years this year. If you'd like to know more about the Musicians Club of Women, you can go to the website or you can visit me in the back as you walk out. I'm happy to talk about it. As for Mira, she just let me know that if you would like to learn more about her, this upcoming February, she will be performing the Rachmaninoff piano concerto with the Ann Arbor Symphony. She would love to see any of you who are available for that. And she's also having a recording come out in the next year, a professional recording. Those of you who ever loved listening to a CD, it is a labor of love to complete an album. This is going to not only feature some of the pieces from today's performance, but also more pieces by many of these composers. And you can learn more about that by visiting Mira's website. Do me a favor, check those cell phones one more time. Make sure they are silenced and off. You're more than welcome to take photos and videos, but please do remain seated as you take those, just so we don't interfere with anyone's sight lines. And put your hands together for Mira Walker.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Emma, for the introduction, and to Fourth Presbyterian and the Musicians Club of Women for hosting me today. It is such an honor and a privilege to share this music with you all today, and I am grateful to each and every one of you for being here to share it with me. I'm particularly excited to share this program in this space, because this space is amazing, but also because each of the 4 composers featured were part of the Chicago Black Renaissance. This was a period in history of intense artistic creativity and community building, which began in this city in the 1930s. Black musicians supported one another through personal connections made in communities and through professional organizations, churches, and schools, such as the Chicago Musical College and the American Conservatory. Black women such as Betty Jackson King, Irene Britton Smith, Florence Price, and Margaret Bonds drove this movement and represent just 4 of the many notable women who supported and inspired one another in pursuit of musical excellence. Today, I'm excited to share the music and stories of 4 incredible women and the role Chicago played in their lives and careers. This recital illustrates the importance of the Chicago Black Renaissance as a distinctive period in classical music history. It seems fitting to share some context about these composers and their pieces since they are not very well known, so I'll be introducing each of the composers before I play their works. So the first composer featured on today's program is Florence Beatrice Price. Price is increasingly well known today. She is particularly famous for being the first Black woman, or woman in general, to have her work performed by a major US orchestra, the Chicago Symphony, under the direction of Frederick Stock. This performance occurred after Price won the Wanamaker Prize for her symphony in E minor, and because it was financed by another Black woman, Maud Roberts George, the president of the Chicago Musicians Association at the time. Often Price's biography centers on this important moment, but in truth, Price was a very prolific composer, and her output extends far beyond her symphony to vocal and instrumental music. She arranged numerous spirituals, and often these settings were written specifically for Black female artists like Leontine Price or Marian Anderson. A talented pianist, Price wrote hundreds of pieces for the piano. Many are character pieces with descriptive titles, like the piece that will open today's program. Clouds is written in an impressionistic style, depicting both calm and storm through capricious shifts in harmony, texture, and register, and it employs the full range of tone colors on the piano. So now I'll play Clouds, and then I'll introduce the next piece. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Price also took pride in creating a new genre for piano called the fantasy negre. This combined romantic style with jazz and spiritual idioms. Her Fantasy Negre No. 1 set the stage for this genre, which was defined by melodic depth and pianistic virtuosity. The piece was dedicated to Price's talented little friend, Margaret Bonds, that's her quote, who you will hear later on the program, and it was Bonds who performed the piece in 1930 to critical acclaim. Price also lived in the Bonds house for a period during the Great Depression, taught Bonds music lessons, and engaged Bonds to help her transcribe compositions. Price was clearly inspired to push her piano writing to new heights because of her friendship with Margaret Bonds. Price wrote 4 fantasies in total, and today I'm going to play the second fantasy in G minor. This piece weaves together a melancholy theme and a hopeful and hymn-like melody in B-flat major, and lots of virtuosity. It is influenced by jazz harmonies and spiritual idioms, but all of the melodic content is original to Florence Price. The next composer illustrates how the Chicago Black Renaissance spanned several generations, often through musical families. Betty Jackson King launched her musical career at a very young age, singing with her mother and sister in the Jacksonian Trio. Her mother, Gertrude Jackson Taylor, was a well-respected and established musician in Chicago. King studied at the Chicago Musical College and earned degrees in both piano and composition. She went on to lead a successful career composing music from cantatas to piano suites, performing and conducting choirs in numerous churches, and teaching at schools such as Roosevelt University. Notably, she served as the president of NANM. This was a national organization, is a national organization, that was founded in 1919 with a mission to promote the work of Black musicians. It awards scholarships and provides performance opportunities to Black musicians, and this list included Marian Anderson, Florence Price, Margaret Bonds, and many more. King was a lifetime member of NAMM and served as NAMM's president from 1970 to 1984. This community, in addition to early support from her family in pursuing her musical talents, set King up for a very illustrious career. Like the other composers featured today, King's career was one that centered community building and service, particularly in terms of music education and church music. King's compositions include numerous vocal works and a handful of works for solo piano. Today, I will play Winter Holiday from 4 Seasonal Sketches and her self-described tone poem titled Aftermath. Winter Holiday is a short piece from the 4 Seasonal Sketches, and instead of depicting warmth and holiday cheer, it evokes the icy cold feeling that comes off of Lake Michigan during the winter that we all know way too well. Aftermath is inspired by a poem by Elizabeth Wydell, who seems to be a former registrar that King encountered at Roosevelt University and was a professional writer. Aftermath is the most virtuosic of King's piano compositions and uses extensive dissonance and chromaticism to evoke grief expressed in Wydell's writing. The piece is set in B minor and features melancholic melody with atmospheric vignettes that showcase the vast, colorful capabilities of the piano. The writing is lush and romantic, sometimes reminiscent of Liszt or Grieg. I imagine that Wydell's poetry resonated with King in particular due to the premature death of her sister, Catherine, and the piece is certainly an outpouring of human emotion in all of its complexity. So I will first play Winter Holiday, and then I'll come back up and read the poem before I play Aftermath. And now this is Aftermath by Elizabeth Weidel. I wish that I could grieve for what is done, but feeling now is stunned. And I but know with clear head and numbed heart the ruin I have made of what I had. For I stood upon emotion's crag of fury, watching in the insane glee of anger as its lightning struck and ruined what I loved. Security and confidence and faith in one distorted afternoon of rage were swept away when we destroy what slowly, sweetly grows. How long we wait for wounds to heal and for new growth. And sometimes it can never come again. Though weeping's fruitless, I would weep, but am too spent now, for I feel the dullness stemming from a wanton made destruction. My world is changed and dulled, and I'm the one who changed it. Too late to undo. Along the ghastly track of my own wrath, and it is now too late to grieve. I shouldn't pick favorites, but this composer that's up next might be my favorite. Irene Britton Smith was a violinist and a pianist and a public school teacher by profession. She wanted to attend Northwestern University to study music, but her family could not afford to send her there. Instead, Smith spent her summers and a sabbatical pursuing her passion for music at institutions from Tanglewood to Juilliard. I just imagine taking a sabbatical from a public school teaching job to study music. It must have been really, she must have been very passionate about it. Smith attended the American Conservatory, where Florence Price also trained, and even lived in the same building as Price in the 1950s. Smith attended Berean Baptist Church, also attended by the Bonds family. In comparison with the other composers featured today, Smith was not particularly active in the Black music scene, and her shy temperament, insecurities, and a full-time public school teaching career prevented her from pursuing music full-time. Still, her rich compositional legacy reflects her talents and training, and she took great inspiration from other Black female composers. Smith went to a public lecture given by Florence Price in 1936 and wrote to Price afterwards to express her admiration. Price responded to Smith, quote, "It makes me happy indeed to know that you received encouragement from my talk," end quote, and Price offered to review Smith's compositions. While Smith never took Price up on this offer, Smith did leave behind a collection of touchingly beautiful works, which are mostly housed in the Center for Black Music Research at Columbia College here in Chicago. One of the major works for solo piano is the Passacaglia in C-sharp minor that I'll be performing today. This piece blends the Baroque compositional style and contrapuntal writing with romantic harmonies in a set of 22 variations on the bass line, which is sometimes featured as a melody itself. The Passacaglia ends with an improvisatory fantasia, and the writing is very dense, suggesting more of an organ texture than a piano texture. And it requires the use of the sostenuto pedal in some sections in order to have all of the chord tones ringing. While the Passacaglia is published in a collection of her piano works edited by Helen Walker Hill, it does have a corresponding fugue that is unpublished at this time and in the archive that I mentioned. Today I'll be performing the published Passacaglia, which she wrote during her studies at the American Conservatory in Chicago. So listen for the repeated bass line, which grounds the entire piece, sometimes featured prominently and sometimes woven more elusively into the music. Enjoy. Last but not least, I bring you the story and music of Margaret Bonds. Bonds was a successful concert pianist, composer, and pedagogue. As a child, she met many luminaries in the Black music community through salon events hosted by her mother, Estella Bonds. Many of these individuals became her inspiration, her teachers, and mentors, including Florence Price. While the extent of Bonds' legacy is still being recovered, she's best known for her solo vocal and large-scale choral compositions, collaboration and friendship with poet Langston Hughes, and award-winning concert performances. Her writings reveal a deep dedication to her craft in performing, composing, and teaching. Bonds was acutely aware of the power of music as a vehicle for advocacy, and she worked tirelessly to promote Black art and artists throughout her career. Her most famous piano composition is the three-movement Spiritual Suite. Bonds wrote of her inspiration for this piece, quote, "When I was a little girl, I never missed a concert of Marian Anderson, Roland Hayes, and Abby Mitchell. I was always thrilled by their singing of spirituals at the end of each concert, so I felt cheated and wanted some spirituals at the end of my concerts too." End quote. Troubled Water is the best known of the three movements and the only movement that was published in Bonds' lifetime, and today I'm thrilled to present the full suite. I'll briefly tell you a little bit about each movement and then perform the whole thing. So the first movement is titled The Valley of the Bones, and it is based on the spiritual dry bones. The text of the spiritual comes from the book of Ezekiel, in which Ezekiel prophesies that the Valley of the Bones will be resurrected by God and will go on to form the New Jerusalem. Even if you're not familiar with this passage of biblical text, it's clear that the reference is of a story of redemption and hope that can be universally understood. The middle movement is titled The Bells, based on the spiritual Peter, Go Ring Them Bells. The text is hopeful in this one. "Oh, Peter, go ring them bells, I heard from heaven today." The third and final movement of the suite, Troubled Water, is based on the spiritual Wade in the Water. This particular spiritual was used as code on the Underground Railroad, leading enslaved people to escape through water to avoid tracking dogs, and also as a baptismal song in churches. It was popularized in concert halls by the Fisk Jubilee Singers, and Margaret Bonds' Troubled Water was published originally in 1967, and she frequently performed it herself on her programs. By giving this recital here and in other venues, I hope to add to a growing body of scholarship and performance invested in creating more equity in the classical music field. The Chicago Black Renaissance was a really important period in classical music history, and I am proud to have presented these composers today. Now sit back and enjoy this final piece, the Spiritual Suite by Margaret Bonds. Thank you.